Welcome to the Open House of Soulpreneur Identity program. My time is morning at 8 o'clock, but I think we attract to these sort of events from everywhere. So it might be afternoon, evening. It has been quite some time since I did my open house last time. I think I stopped doing that, but I'm going to come back to doing this every other week. And today I want to share with you. Um, 5 p.m. Some people are 5 p.m. Kevin is joining. Um, this open house is a special moment for me because I get to explain my path that I have taken and then why we're doing what we're doing inside of the Soul Purpose Group. Soul Purpose Group is a place that also let entrepreneurs, the practitioners who are believing and living the spiritual perspective, life spiritual perspective, and to have people who have had a certain transformation and awakening. It's a natural tendency for all of us who have had those transformation to be able to share that to the world because once you are on the other side, you cannot go back, right? So to be able to understand the spiritual dimension, the quantum field, and the awareness, once you're there, you feel like, that's your urge, that's your mission, that's your calling to be able to help others to live the same. And the vehicle might be unique to you, right? There are a lot of Reiki practitioners coming into the group. There are a lot of people who use animals, people that use sound healings and breath work. And the modality, the vehicle that you have doesn't need to be like a healing modality, right? Per se. If you have a business that can impact and transform the world in the way that you live your life is a soul-led, means that you understand the quantum mechanics and you live from the 5D spiritual plane, fifth dimensional spiritual plane, and then apply that practice into the growth of business, you are soul-led entrepreneur. So that's the definition of soulpreneur. It's fun language that it's not like I came up with, right? There are people who use, but officially using that as a framework in the program is something that I got excited about. And today I want to talk about the reason behind and why this is important, and then to help all of you clarify your mission because you came to the Soul Purpose Group not by accident, but by design and you had this draw, right? So what happens when you enter and come across that, you want to really listen to it, right? Because you don't come across anything by accident. And then we want to really understand how to make decision, how to make choices based on the intuition, not fear, right? And 11 o'clock, yeah, yeah, exactly. And and then to collectively tune into the relevance of what we're doing is what we are intended to do in this Soul Purpose group. So there are people who are relatively newer to this group. There are people who have been in the group. Let me just kind of share a little bit about the not tiers, but the levels, but the process, right? When people come into the Soul Purpose group, we share what we offer and then the perspective and approach. And what we really, really do is to help and assist and support also led entrepreneurs to hold their hands to be able to uh, really show up in life, right? So you have a business that you believe that transform yourself, the practice, and then you're turning that into a business so you can use that to help and serve the world. And there is this idea of belief that gets in the way for a lot of people. Yeah. So I have been in this sort of like an online space for maybe like a 5 years or so, 5, 6 years. I started by being a consultant with Bob Proctor. So he was in the movie The Secret. A lot of things that I um, share with the group, the Soulpreneur group, is has been influenced by Bob. And that's how I enter the coaching, high impact, high ticket coaching industry. And Then I came across different like online communities to learn how to market the offer that I had, right? The offer has evolved though, to be honest, right? The more I dove into it, the more I dove into that spiritual stuff because that's something that I felt called to. And what we do is to help show up in life to be able to really do the work of awakening the world and to integrate the spiritual embodiment into the business growth. So the way that I see is that the growth of the business is a direct correlation of your spiritual embodiment. So those are not two different things. There are a lot of people who have been on a healing path in the coaching or different holistic modality practitioner path. And then when it comes to marketing or business, they tend to separate, right? So they believe that marketing has a certain category, which it does in a certain perspective. But when we understand the quantum mechanics and the spiritual dimension, every circumstance and consequence and environment uh, is being molded and unfolded through the consciousness, right? So there are different tactics and strategies that exist in this online space, which is ever changing. But what we believe to be true is when you acquire an identity as an entrepreneur, as an online entrepreneur that awakens the world, which we call soulpreneur, any strategy works. So when you look at the online space, there are, let's say, 10 different online marketers talking about this is the way that it works, right? And everybody's succeeding. So you just need to find your vehicle, the approach that suits you and resonate with you while you examine your own belief and to not to contract or resist or hesitate because of the belief, but recognizing that belief and diving into the way that you want to approach and begin constantly forming the identity. And identity and belief is something that has many, many layers, right? So identity and belief around showing up online, identity and belief around supporting a group of people, identity and belief around earning a certain amount of money, which is huge. Those are the things that's important to be able to establish and cultivate and polish the core foundation of you to be able to uh, shine your light. And that process of peeling off your belief is to begin accessing that light inside of you. So you must see yourself your own light first to be able to help others see the light in them. So the way that I see is that we all came here in this world perfect, yeah. And then we went through this human programming by being surrounded by parents, neighbors, and all that, right? So then we acquire at the subconscious level all the stories, the lies about ourselves, right? And one of the things that many people struggle that I witness is this idea of enoughness, not enoughness, the worthiness, yeah. And those are just stories, belief, and beliefs are just information. This is what I'm gonna say is really important. Belief that we have about ourselves currently, past, present, is just an information, and they're not you. Yeah, they're not you. And what is belief? Belief is what is true for you. So let's say if you feel that you're a beginner, that is what's true for you. If you believe that this is the capacity that you have, psychologically, that is what is true for you, right? So belief is at the subconscious level, how you feel about you and what is true for you in this world. That is what belief is. And when you begin altering the belief, everything will start shifting. Opportunity comes, the way that you show up start becoming different. Um, a lot of things start changing when you change your belief. And belief is what is true for you, and it's correlated with the concept of self, how you see you in your mind, not how others see you or how you want the world to see you, but internally, how you feel about you is the emotional and subconscious conception of you. And that is the number one thing that we focus on in the Soulpreneur Identity Program. That's why we call it's an identity program, right? We share all the tactics and different ways to help people expand. But in that process, fundamentally, we help people cultivate, up level, and unfold, peel off the layers of the false identity so you can truly tap into the light and the divine essence of who you came here to live. And that process of working on yourself is going to be the cause of how you can help your clients, right? So we're not doing all of those things intellectually to be able to help others. There are a lot of people in the world who can give advice to others, but when it comes to about themselves, they want to kind of put things aside, right? So we the whole group is about working on ourselves and examining all the inner dialogues, examining all the feelings that we have about ourselves, and using the platform such as Soul Purpose Group or your own social media platform or any platform. Some people want to do blogs, some people want to do podcasts, right? Choosing the platforms that you can consistently show up to be able to polish your identity is what we want to do. And then, of course, there's going to be in the process all the feedback process, right? So the reason that we ended up focusing on developing soulpreneurs is because the difference between soulpreneur or entrepreneur and non-entrepreneur is that you get to set the ceiling of the income. The way that we see money and the circulation of money is a spiritual idea. Yeah. And there's an infinite supply in this universe. And what that means is that there's no shortage, right? So if you currently see some sort of limitation in your physical realm financially, that was created through your consciousness. So I'm supposed to be talking about the three sort of, energetic reasons um, that I think it's relevant for people to really understand and practice and embody. One is that the consciousness is the one and the only reality, right? So that's what Bible said. Now, when you live in the physical world, the material world, what you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch in the visible world feels so real because that's what you're in contact with in the visible eyes, right? But what it means by consciousness is the one and the only reality is to understand the cause and effect. Consciousness is always the cause of the matter, the physicality, right? So everything that's being created in the physical plane was created through consciousness, right? So then what we want to understand is the attraction of money, the acquisition of clients, anything that you see in your surrounding is being constantly created using your consciousness. So in this case, consciousness is you believe. Consciousness is the subconscious conception of how you feel yourself to be in this world. Yeah. Unless that changes because your world is, I almost play, I play a different song at the beginning, but I almost play a song called My Universe by Coldplay, which I love because my universe is everybody's universe is uniquely you. And I can go on and on with this word universe that I love because it's one and versatile at the same time, right? The universe is one, but there's differentiation. That's the 8, 9 billion people that we're living. but we are all one. It's universe that we're living, but that universe, experience of that universe is unique and different depending on your consciousness, right? So my universe and I experience my universe in my way based on my consciousness. Your universe is being molded around you through your consciousness. So it's not that there's one same universe outside, but the universe is different based on your own consciousness that you're choosing to vibrate up, right? So the 3D physical world impacting your inside is the way that most people live. They reverse the cause and effect, right? People react to the outside. If you don't see what you want to see in the outside, you start creating some emotion. That's a reverse of the cause and effect. That's a material way of living. What we teach to practice is to live from the 5D spiritual plane, right? So then the consciousness is the only one and the only reality. And you want to actually practice energizing that so you can create a different kind of universe around you based on what you desire because we all came here to live what we meant to, and what you desire is there as a seed of the urge of the soul because you came here to fulfill that, right? So one of the things that I clearly state is that if you desire something, you're meant to fulfill it. And if you desire something, the fulfillment of that desire is inevitable. Yeah. And it becomes inevitable when you choose to believe so. So all those things that I'm talking about is inside out living. But when it comes to the soulpreneurship, the entrepreneurship online space, people focus on what's out there, what's working, who is doing what, and who is doing something. And people get distracted by all the information in the outside. What we really want to focus on to help people understand is that each one of us is an artist of the soul, and we came here to sing our unique song. Yeah. And the unique song has been designed to create through the life stories that you have lived. I have lived my story. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So I had this awakening moment when I was little. I was very insecure and not having confidence, and that everything changed when I started to dance and I started my spiritual path inside. I was dancing outside. I was exploring inside. At the early stage, I knew that this is the calling and the mission, and this is what I came here to do, right? And you sort of start feeling like the world that you are living didn't resonate with you, or there was a little challenging time sort of fitting into the world, right? Because the way that most people live, from people like us who understand the spiritual dimension, feels a little superficial or lack in depth. And you start feeling like there should be another way, right? And those people tends to come to our group understanding the spiritual dimension. And all of that is a story that I have lived and a story that you have lived that prepare you to create your gift, which is your offer. What you choose to offer to the world has been carefully being constructed, and you're being guided to create that through the life story. So then combining with that and the desire that you have, you are actually meant to fulfill it. Yeah. And in order to fulfill that, you must cultivate the belief in you, because you can never outperform your self-belief, but the outside world, the situation will always reflect as a mirror what you believe to be true about the world and yourself. So that's the most important work. So what we do inside of the Soulpreneur is to help people embody, right? Many people know about the law of attraction. Many people are starting to learn about Neville's law of assumption, all the universal laws, right? The cause and effect. But that doesn't mean that they're actually living it. Everybody knows the effect of the negative thoughts, right? When you dwell your internal thoughts to a negativity, you're giving power away to something outside of you, right? When you dwell on the negative, um, destructive emotion, you're giving the power away from you and you're not aligned because emotions are the internal guiding system that allows us to line up with the essence of who we are. So we all know that, but because we have this survival component biologically, many of us react to the outside. Many of us look at the outside lack or the lack of the evidence of sight. You know, you want this, but you don't see it in the physical world. And you start reacting, creating a lack in the inside emotionally, right? The mind goes, the internal thoughts, internal dialogue goes to a giving energy to lack. Whenever we are giving energy to lack, we are actually pouring water to the lack energy. So what we want to understand, this is the reason number two, right? Reason number one was that the overemphasis on the 3D physical world, instead of living from this idea that the consciousness is the one and the only reality, because that's the seed of the creation in the physical world. Number two is that reason is that the people live in a linear timeline, right? People live assuming there's a past and the future, and the present moment is this one dot moment, right? There's not such a thing as past and the future. All the possibilities, all the versions of you, the life version of you, coexist at the same time, but in a different timeline. Yeah. So the let's just call the future version of you, the success of your business, the accomplishment, the fulfillment of desire, that version of you that you can imagine in your mind's eyes actually is already here. It's not later. Later is a concept called future that doesn't exist, but it only exists as an idea in the mind. Yeah. So when somebody's living overly emphasizing the 3D physical world, because that's what the rational mind does, it also trick us to live this linear lifetime where past, present, future, and you start planning about the future. Yeah. But what we are actually want to do, living from the 5D spiritual plane, is to understand that all the potentialities and different versions of you coexist at the same time. Now, when I say that, you might say, okay, where is it? Right? If it's existing at the same time, where is it? You can only tune into that by stepping into that frequency. So all the versions of you is like a different radio station, right? The radio station that you're playing right now depends on the belief that you're in and the consciousness that you're looking yourself and the world from. You cannot tune into multiple radio stations at the same time, right? This is a very good, easy to understand analogy, right? So the fulfillment of the desire, the expansive version of you, the divine self that you came here to live is right now, not later, right? And if you live life from a linear perspective, you think that I'm working towards that to reach that goal. That is a linear timeline perspective that will take you much, much longer, right? But why do we say quantum leap? Why do we say collapse time? Because everything exists at the same time. So what we want to learn to do is to understand this quantum mechanics and to acquire a capacity to live from the 5D spiritual point of view and to learn how to tune into choosing to live in a different timeline and frequency. Timeline, frequency, the same thing, right? So whatever that you're desiring, the abundance of life that you are wanting to live exists right now in a different radio station. And what we want to do is to tune into the frequency so you can invite and welcome all the circumstance that matches that frequency, and your universe will start shifting based on how you're operating. Yeah. So the timeline, the linear to a quantum is the shift that we want to make. And that's what we practice inside of the Soulpreneur, because most of us are accustomed to and habituated to live in a linear timeline. The world mostly is living based on the linear timeline. So you must put yourself into the environment that encourage you to live in that quantum timeline all the time. So your default mode changes from living from and in the 3D physical plane to a 5D spiritual plane. Yeah. And then when you understand that the reason number one, which is that, the consciousness and also the timeline, you will now begin mastering the real cause and effect, right? Your inside is the cause and your outside is another effect. Yeah, the outside is a mirror of your inside. So let's say when you don't see something that you want to see in the physical world, you will start learning how to not give energy to it. Yeah, you will start learning how to not give energy to it. People think that, oh, there's a problem in the outside world, I need to solve it. That's not how we think when we begin living in the spiritual plane. Let's say if you encounter a lack, it's okay to notice the lack, right? It could be not having enough feedback, not having enough clients, not having enough money coming in. Those are a lack, right? That we perceive to be true. Now, when we acknowledge that, you want to actually step into the new idea to begin thinking and seeing from the vision. Because when you learn how to live from the spiritual plane, you're not moving towards where you want to go, but you're actually choosing to see the world from where you're going. And by being there right now, you start altering the surrounding. Does that make sense? So there's nothing that we need to change. And what I'm gonna say next can trigger a lot of people, so I want you to prepare. So there's there is this analogy in the sort of spiritual and healing space, the a certain understanding around trauma, right? When you become aware of the spiritual plane, people start understanding that there is a certain level of wounds or the lies or what people call traumatic thing that happened in the past that led us to create a false and limiting belief about ourselves. Yeah. And many people believe that I need to heal myself. This is the language that I hear of them. I need to heal my money wound. I need to heal my such a wound in order to step into. Yeah. But if you understand how to live from the timeline frequency and the spiritual plane, if you continue to focus on trying to heal the past wound, you are defining yourself so somebody who has the wound that needs to be healed. Then you're constantly self-defining that, which it's going to change in the long run if you continue to do, but I'm not that patient. I want it to be faster, right? So what we want to do is to understand that all the stories and the belief and all of that has nothing to do with who we are, because who we are is spiritual being and it's in the dimension of absolute, and no contrast negativity can touch who we are. So when the mind lines up with the essence of who we are and begin choosing to live from that place, all the wounds and all the lies that we have lived, the stories that live inside of us that continue to limit us, start dissipating on its own. And many people have a difficult time trusting this process because we're so accustomed to try to address the mind from the dimension of the mind. Yeah. But this universe is self-organized and self-corrective, right? We're not trying to do anything with the sun, with the moon, with the wind, right? It harmonizes and line up in a way that the universal law can create things. And universe is not out there. We are a part of it, right? Nature is not out there. We are a part of it. God is not somebody outside, but we are a part of it. So the more we succeed in embodying who we are universe, we are nature, we are God, then you begin trusting the process that when the mind lines up with the essence of who you are, all the stories start dissipating and phase away. So that is to embody and self-defining who you are, right? So let's say you have, whatever the stage that you're in your business, you have a certain, outcome, and the outcome is a reflection of your identity. Outcome is a reflection of how you're feeling, seeing yourself. And once you start working on you and practicing to be able to see and feel yourself differently and begin moving from that place, you will start doing things differently because of the identity that you cultivated. Opportunity will come because the law of reciprocity is working all the time. And because you're assuming yourself in a certain way, your business in a certain way, things will appear and the way will be shown because every single circumstance that happens in your life happens based on the energetic resonance in the intuitive field. Nothing is rational, nothing is logical. Yeah. When you go back to your life, how things happen, you probably would not able to explain logically how it happened, right? You wouldn't be able to explain logically how you came to the soul purpose group. There are sequence of events that happens along the way that you attracted to the group. I attracted to you, you attracted to me. And that happens through the quantum field, not in the logical, rational way. So if the things that happen in your life happen not in a logical way, it's highly illogical to think how you want things to happen that you are creating from this moment forward, right? So then what we want to understand is to understand the quantum field, understand the intuitive field, and to be able to practice being in that abundant place. Um, there are three things that people in general needs help to deepen the awareness. One is the embodiment piece of it, right? What I'm talking about, you are listening to and you're absorbing, and there is this sort of like internal conversation that probably happening inside of you, and that's on an intellectual level. And there is a subconscious level that we must accept in order for the truth internally to shift, right? That is the embodiment piece of it. So I found that you can read books, you can watch YouTube videos, you can entertain different free materials, but in order to truly embody, there needs to be some level of commitment and dedication. Um, so that's why we created some containers to be together on a weekly calls and also for you to get exposed to different modules to repeat different ideas. So the default mode starts shifting. There needs to be some repetition in order to embody. Um, that's number one. Many people tends to not to be in an abundant state. People love the idea of abundance. And when I say, abundance is our birthright, if you're in a spiritual space, you believe that, you want to believe that. But the default mode tends to focus on the lack and limitation because of how we have been wired and also because how the survival part of our brain wants to focus on it, right? So to really embody that we're abundant creators is something that we focus on and emphasize. Yeah. And the abundance is going to come towards you when and if only you choose to tune into the abundant state, not the other way around. Many people think that, oh, once my environment changes, I can feel abundantly. Yeah. But consciousness is the one and the only reality. So it's the seed of creation. So we must step into the abundant state first in order for the surrounding to be abundant. It's the other way around. Yeah. And then the reason that we have this sort of container program, solopreneur program, full program is 8 months. That's we found that that's a sweet spot. Um, People need a little bit more time to sort of recalibrate and marinate and examine their own life as we move along together. But we have this program because when people choose to join us, that's when they make a decision, right? They make a decision to change a lot of the different things that they have been doing. People are exploring how to show up, how to expand, and how to build their business. But at some point, there needs to be a decision to dive into something, and that changes the frequency, right? So the reason that we ask people to make a decision is for people to actually step into a certain frequency before, this is the important part, before you feel that the outside is telling you that you are ready. Yeah. Because people think that I am not ready because the existing outside is this way. Yeah. The existing outside is that way because of not making a decision, because the outside condition is an effect, inside decision is a cause. Yeah, does that make sense? So making a decision to commit to do something is the fuel and the way that allows people to step into the frequency. That's why we ask people to make a decision. Yeah. Um, so that's a little bit of like a detailed background of where we come from and why we focus on what we focus on. And the Soulpreneur container is for anybody who wants to grow their business. Financial speaking, at the beginning, let's say $5,000, and then moving into $10,000 and moving into $15,000. And one of the things that we focus on is that people love the idea of, the online space. People love the idea of the financial freedom, which is different for everybody. Um, but also we want people to create the lifestyle that they desire, right? So the time freedom part of it is also what we encourage. So let's say if you're doing currently one-on-one session, one-on-one is good, right? But you will say that the one-on-one session is good until you start having 30, 40 sessions per week. And then you will start thinking that, okay, this model I need to change a little bit because the more the business grows, the less time I have, right? So we tend to encourage to begin creating some group container because group container is very good. You can create communities and you can create a supporting system to help one another. The collective frequency is what it's going to help each individual to stay there. So, but then the coaching and the healing part of it is not just through the interaction, but with the whole system, right? So we have weekly calls, we have recorded modules, we have community inside, we have some practices that we encourage people, we have some accountability structure that we create, and the entire system, the process is going to help people lead to the outcome. Okay, so if you're a soul-led entrepreneur on a mission to awaken the world and wants to grow your business from a spiritual standpoint, and everything that I went through this training resonate with you, I want to invite you to schedule a call, divine guidance call, so we can assess your current energetics alignment and to begin exploring your hidden current subconscious belief that might be in the way that's preventing you from moving faster, and together identify the steps that you need to take in order to begin creating your unique clients attraction system. We found that everybody has a different gift inside of them. So depending on that, the way that they want to express the process is different, and it's going to be unique to you. So to book this call, I want you to go to satori-mindset.com/connect. It's going to be 30 to 45 minutes a call to connect, and you will leave this call with a massive clarity and certainty and what you need to focus on next. So go to satori-mindset.com/connect, and I look forward to connecting with you inside of this call.